The Oscars just happened. Avengers is over here getting leaked to oblivion. And that Daredevil Born Again premiere. We're going to talk about all of it on this episode of the Double Feature podcast. Welcome back, everyone, to the channel and to another episode of the Double Feature podcast. Just only the most consistent podcast
on the planet,
in the world. You know, possibly
maybe in the universe.
Maybe I was just about to say maybe.
Maybe it travels. Maybe it's multiversal. You know, maybe in the multiverse.
Possibly. But as always, of course, if you end up really enjoying the topics that we're talking about, or just anything from this video, any of our discussions that we have here today, please do us a favor, like the video, subscribe, click that bell, all that jazz. And also, you can always follow us. Our social media handles are obviously right below us. You can find us on like Twitter, Instagram, all that stuff. And then yeah, you can also send in specific questions in that using that link down below, and we'll answer it on the next episode of Double Feature. But today, we've got some stuff to talk about here. Obviously,
oh boy.
I think the big thing was that Daredevil premiere, but we'll get to that much later on as our main course. So we're going to kind of start out with some appetizers. And that is that Avengers Doomsday has been getting leaked. A lot of MCU stuff actually has been getting leaked. Recently, some leaked concept art hit the internet. And yeah, it was a ton of stuff related to Avengers Doomsday, Fantastic Four, and just stuff Secret Wars, and just stuff that don't think was meant to be out there, but I have my own theory on that.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, I don't want to put any more on the screen in case we get like copyrighted or something or claimed. Yeah. But I'm pretty sure if you're watching this segment, you know what we're talking about. Yeah. You've seen the art, and obviously start placing your comments down below on what your thoughts are. But what do you think about all this? Like, what are your thoughts on the leaks? Where do you think it came from? All of that.
This is some crazy stuff here, and I honestly think this is a much bigger deal than even we think it is for Marvel side of things. Like, you know how much of a stickler Kevin Feige is for leaks and rumors and stuff like that, and how much he wants to mitigate that kind of stuff and keep it at a minimum. I don't think that this was purposefully leaked as much as, everybody thinks it is, and a little bit of me even does. I do feel like there's just something that makes me feel like this was never a part of the plan, because these are some big stuff. I mean, we're seeing stuff from Doomsday, Secret Wars, Fantastic Four, not that big, but kind of big, because the stuff that we do see isn't marketed at all in Fantastic Four yet at least.
Yep.
Again, I think Marvel makes it like very apparent that they want to cut this type of stuff out, which is kind of weird when you think about it, because one, wouldn't you want this kind of stuff to get out? You know what I mean? Like wouldn't you want these pictures, for example, right? That picture of Dr. Doom or whatever. Wouldn't you want that at Comic-Con, like blown up, like on the freaking projector screen, like with the cast there, or with Robert Downey, or with someone there? You know what I mean? Like, it shouldn't be something that's hidden. It shouldn't be something we gotta be like, oh my God, it's a leak. I feel like these should be things that are more like hype, and more like, I just feel like that should be a regular thing. Filmmakers and studios should be proud of their work and should be like, yo, look, a little bit more, instead of just being so tied down to being leak culture, as much as I think that's part of pop culture, is the whole rumor mill thing. But yeah, I mean, as far as like getting into the nitty gritty of it, because chances are, if you're even listening to this topic, you know what we're talking about. The picture of Doomsday sitting on the throne, Doom sitting on the throne, looks, I mean, it just looks so good. Like, the concept of that, trying to get that to work and visualize that in live action, I just wonder how that would be. And then there's some other Doom artwork that I think is from Secret Wars. The stuff with homie chained up in front of him with Doctor Strange right next to his side.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's some Secret Wars stuff. And especially the fact that he's wearing like the white
The,
robe, kind of
the
like the
God
God Emperor
Emperor
Doom.
stuff.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
get it. I
So
get
I
it.
think that's some. I definitely think that's some Secret War stuff. And then you got Franklin Richards getting leaked in some of the Fantastic Four First Steps concept, which I mean, it was kind of a little known, especially throughout the spheres on Twitter and circles on Instagram, the leak culture and whatnot. That he's gonna be in the movie. How big of a part he plays in the movie and the MCU going forward, and how small, who knows? But I mean, two of these leaked photos, the one with Doctor Strange and Doom and bro chained up, and these Fantastic Four concept arts, both of them have Franklin Richards in it. So it
That's
just
true.
makes me wonder, what that's gonna mean moving forward. And again, this is all pure speculation because it's concept art. At the end of the day, it could completely end. The way this was even found was it was thrown in an unused folder. This could completely be stuff that's not used. This could completely be stuff we're looking at that's just, hey, that was an idea at that moment on a
That's
random
my
Tuesday,
thing. Yeah.
and where we've moved past that. But at the same time,
Some of those
man,
ideas can
I would
carry over.
really, some of those ideas look really good. I would really hate it because Marvel is the type to be like, oh, we don't like that got leaked. We're gonna change that up and stuff.
Yeah.
Where there's some of the stuff where, especially in these leaks that we're seeing, that everybody's kind of on board with. Everybody's like, this looks great. Like, give me some more of this stuff. Visualize it.
Mm-hmm.
I just wonder what Marvel wants, because either it was leaked on purpose or it was an accident. I just wonder what they're really doing and what their steps are, because they know about this. It's not
Of
like this is
course.
just something we're
I'm pretty
discussing
sure a
around.
lot of the artists like deactivated their socials or something, which sucks because I don't think this was anything they did on purpose.
Yeah, it
Someone
was definitely
probably
probably like
got
an
it.
unfortunate mistake.
Yeah, and just put
But
it out
again,
there.
it could not be a mistake at all. It
It
could
could
be
just be
us
like
just
they
being
got the
us.
permission to be like
No, no, no,
we're
no,
not
no,
gonna use it.
no. Hear me out. It could be us just being us. It could be us just being stupid and like so geeky and like loud about like, oh, something new that just dropped. Because again, it being in an unused folder, this could be unused stuff. The only thing is we want to validate and feel like, oh, that's concepts that we've heard in the rumor mill, is part
Mm-hmm.
of the storylines that are building and that we've heard in leak culture and stuff like that. So we want that to be true. So we're just going, look at these concept arts, guys, when that could completely be unused work at the same time.
That's very true.
Now you would say, but if that's the case, why would Marvel fire them? I mean, we don't know the real specifics of it, and
Mm-hmm.
why would they do this and do that, and all of these people deactivate their accounts and stuff like that. But I'm just saying, like, we could be totally like off the mark here and just be like
Mm-hmm.
way too loud and way just crazy about stuff that is actually really like not even being
Yeah,
used. Or
and I'm gonna get into that right now. Uh,
okay,
I think I woke up to this, you know, just like everyone did. Saw a
I didn't wake
plethora.
up to it. I was up
Yeah,
when it
you were.
dropped. It was crazy. It was
Yeah.
like 6 a.m. or something.
Um,
It's crazy.
woke up to it. I looked at it. I went, "Oh my god, he looks so good." And then I went, "Oh, but Robert Downey Jr. is playing him." Okay, so here's what's gonna happen. Okay,
As did
all
a
the
plethora of Twitter.
aura, all the aura that we're seeing through a
It's
concept art,
radiating. Come on.
they are not about to cover Robert Downey Jr.'s face for a majority of this runtime. That is not how Doctor Doom is going to look for a majority of this runtime. Otherwise, why cast Robert Downey Jr.? Makes zero sense. All that jazz. Now, as for like the
Unless there's
fantastic,
something we don't know about
as for
Robert
the
Downey Jr. and
fantastic,
his voice.
I guess, yeah, but
It's like the
when
craziest
you
voice
go to
actor
Comic
of all
Con and
time.
you
We
say
don't know.
that, people are expecting that now, and it's
Yeah,
like,
yeah, of course, of course.
the Fantastic Four concept art. It's cool. It looks like like
It looks kind of like
Sue
what
Storm.
we've kind of seen.
Looks like
It looks like a
Violet,
concept of what we've seen in the trailer,
in
like of some of the stuff we've seen.
a little
So
bit, and then very Incredibles like stuff. I'm really liking the aesthetic. I'm glad they got the low key production designer on that movie. But I just think as for the bigger leaks, right? As for like the Avengers stuff, I think the Hulk one was interesting to me because
forgot about that one. I forgot
That
about
one
that one.
makes me wonder where they are. Are they on like their? Are they? Is this like Planet Hulk? Like, are they doing? Are they on their
That looks like it
own,
could be like Greenland
or is that
of the sea of
a
Battle
different
World.
universe? And then it really seems like they're going full on 2015 Secret Wars or 14,
Hmm.
2015, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, which, solid. I would have much preferred the OG. Would have much preferred like a Molecule Man to that would have just been so much more interesting as a
We can still
foil
see
to
Molecule
read.
Man though, because
Yeah,
he's
but
still
I
in the
want
2015
Molecule.
version.
He is, but I
I know
want
what you mean. I know what you
main
mean. You want
guy
him to be the
Molecule
guy.
Man.
Yeah,
That was
yeah,
the entire foil in that original story. But I mean, at this point, I just gotta wait because I just don't like that choice as RDJ for Doctor Doom so much that like I'm just gonna keep sounding like a broken record every time I talk about it. I'd rather just not. I'd rather just see what they're gonna do and hope it's good. And I do think it'll hopefully be great. I do.
yeah.
Is it my Doctor Doom? Absolutely not. Will it be after it's great? No. It's just facts. I'm sorry you get the rights and you do Doctor Doom for the very first time, and we're bringing back RDJ to do it. It's just wrong on so many levels. It's the equivalent of Sony
That's definitely the geek in you though
officially
saying that.
getting the rights, or not. Well, they already had the rights, but they start making Spider-Man movies, and they got it all. And the first thing they do is bring back Topher Grace to play Eddie Brock or to play something like that. It just screams like what are we doing? And it
There
just screams
are rumors
desperation.
and soundings though that this was always the plan.
No. Always
That
the plan
RDJ as
after
Doom
Kang?
not always. No, that he was no, that Kang was originally the plan,
Yeah,
and that
yeah.
RDJ as Doom was also a plan with Kang. Like
No.
they were both kind
No.
of
Absolutely
like,
not.
but Kang
No.
obviously a little bit more. I don't
No.
know.
What is
I
the
don't know how
rumor? What do
true
you
that
mean?
is.
No one's
I don't know how
ever
true that
said
is.
that.
And they even got like a new article or whatever of RDJ talking about like how much he's into like Doom and like how long he spent really getting into it and like
Mm-hmm.
writing and different
I'd
costumes
hope
and stuff
so.
like
I'd
that.
hope so. He's playing the greatest
So
villain in comics history.
again, again, like I just feel like that's the geek in us stuff. Like that goes
No,
like,
that's not the geek.
because I feel like from a general
I
audience
can't.
perspective, I feel
Yeah. I
like from a
can't
general
wait.
audience perspective, if Doom was done good even by our um standards, if RDJ as Doom was done well,
Mm-hmm.
and the general audience even gravitated towards it, I feel like I feel like it would be a lot. It would just be a lot better for the general audience because they wouldn't have this attachment to the Doom character that makes them want to see something so much more, even though it's good. I feel like the general audience would just be like, that was good. And on top of that, get like insane character moments of RDJ as Doom and other stuff that would even make like, bro, come on, you know how the general
Fifth.
audience is.
What
Like
are
it's
we?
very low hanging fruit, very
No, they're
like
gonna. I
easy to
mean,
please. Come
it's
on,
an
bro.
intrigue, but they're not
Like
about to look
they
at Robert Downey Jr. like Doctor Doom. The fact that you think that's even a possibility is hilarious. They're about to look at that
again,
man
who
like
knows?
he's been Iron Man for a decade in here. He built this
Well, he is
entire
Iron Man.
universe for a decade. What do you mean? That shit's not just gonna go away because he comes up with a mask and he's talking in an accent, and that's not gonna go away. He carried the MCU for a decade, and that's gonna
I'm not
stay.
again. I'm not
And
saying
that's
it's
the
gonna go away.
issue.
I'm saying it could be embraced, like
I don't care.
by the general. It could
I
be
don't care.
embraced
Even
as
if
much
it's a
as
great storyline, I don't care. Wipe it out because the
that's
issue,
fair.
my issue, is it's not even gonna last long. 50-50, over or under. Is he gonna be in the Fantastic Four? Whether that's a post credit scene or anything.
I honestly feel like he is.
Right.
Um,
Like in the
but
movie or in
again,
a post credit
nothing.
scene.
Again, yeah, nothing like something small, maybe like towards the ending or like a post credit scene or something.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because even if this is a great story, Doom is someone you build. Doom is someone that is constantly reoccurring, huge, and he grows and he
But again,
grows
to
and he
the general audience
grows.
member, if it's just a fantastic villain the way Thanos
I
was,
don't care about the
they'll
general
probably
audience. I
be.
don't
No,
care.
I'm just saying that's what I mean when I say it's the geek in us that says a lot of this stuff.
Yeah,
That
sure.
that has a lot of these issues, and I just feel like, again, especially after these concepts,
Oh my God, what is Spider-Man gonna think when Doctor Doom
I'm
takes off
just
his
saying.
mask and it's Tony
Hey,
Stark? Like,
after
this
these
is what
concepts, I'm
our
just
levels of
saying, bro.
storytelling has fallen off. The MCU has used to be a franchise built on storytelling, built on connective threads, but these movies are telling
Fair.
actual compelling stories. Even fucking Ant-Man, which is one of the weaker MCU movies, told a heartfelt story about a father and his daughter. Like, and we have unfortunately fallen so off of grace that we have reduced the best villain in comic book history. This is not a Riddler in the this is the greatest villain of all time in comic books. To, oh my God, wait till he takes his mask off and Peter Parker sees him. What are we doing?
But again,
Like,
I
it's
feel like that's just how you see it right now.
No, I'm saying that's what's interesting people. That's what's intriguing people. It's like, okay, I guess. I mean, even if they do it good, I'm just ready
That's
for
what's
this
intriguing.
to be.
Again, the low hanging fruit audience. Again, for me, I'm not fully invested in the idea as RDJ as Doom. I'm just a sit back and wait kind of guy. But again, all the things I hear about it, the concepts I'm seeing, the way, again, as much as you can
What
hate on
concepts?
what the
All that
Russos
stuff could
have
have been
done.
before he was even cast.
Again, I'm
Actually,
just saying that
most likely it was because he has the mask on in all those scenes. Like, he's not gonna have. They are
that's
not
fine.
about
I'm
to
just saying
put him
there's
in
a
a
vision.
mask.
That's fine. I'm just saying there's a vision. I'm just saying, like, for example,
I'd
right?
hope so.
I can feel good. I can, there's a bit of me that can feel good at least about Doctor Doom looks so fucking cool on screen.
If it looks like that,
Right?
yes.
So that
Yes.
cushions the blow a little bit, even if I don't really like it. But here's my thing, right? I'm a sit back and wait kind of guy, but I think a lot of it is that with RDJ as Doom, it comes like with you, like with a lot of these biased notions that, like, again, it was last minute stuff and
It
there's no
was.
vision behind it. When I feel like the reality is it's a little bit of both. I
Was
feel
not
like
their
the reality
intention.
is it was low hanging fruit and um um what would you say, like,
They needed to
just
manufacture Thanos hype as quick as possible.
they
And you
were
can't do that
they
if
needed
you
to
were to
get
just
the hype, they
announce
needed to get the
Doom.
MCU hype train back. But also at the same time, while I think that is true, I also think there's some really deep and investment in this project, not only for
I'd hope
RDJ
so.
but for the Russos. As much as you could dislike what the Russos have done outside of the MCU, I do think the Russos are, like, taking this very, very seriously and trying to figure out
I'd
something
hope so.
really
I'd hope
unique and
so.
something that's just
Once
gonna
again,
really shift the landscape of some things. And I'm
it's
for that. As much,
I'd be
I don't know
for
if it's
that
gonna
if
be
this
good or bad,
was
but I'm for
the
that, man.
second version of Doom. The issue is you automatically deteriorate the character because if we get Doctor Doom in the future, it doesn't remotely have the same level of impact because you've already done damage. Right? If this was the multiverse saga after we already got a proper Doom built up, done, blah, 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 and then we're in the multiverse saga, and then RDJ comes back, it makes sense. But when you're just doing that immediately, I ask, why couldn't he be superior Iron Man? I ask, why couldn't he be an evil Tony Stark? He is
Again,
Tony
we
Stark.
don't
He
know.
was
We
Tony Stark.
could
It's
watch
the
it and
multiverse
completely.
saga.
But do you understand that you could have watched? Do you understand that you're massively jumping to conclusions where I'm not, and I'm just
What do
saying,
you mean jump into conclusions?
wait,
He's playing Victor Von
you're
Doom.
right. But again, there could be something in the movie or something that they do where it's so justified that it makes you go, you know, that makes so much sense. and
That's
like
not
it
what I'm
doesn't make you
talking
think
about.
twice
I'm not
about it.
talking about in the context of the movie. I'm saying, let's say I like it. Let's say we watch the movie and I like it. But that automatically deteriorates if they try to do a real Doom. Automatically. Because the first one we got was a multiversal variant, like amalgamation of a bunch of things. And so when we actually do a proper Doom build up, it feels like retread instead of the other way around. If we started with a traditional Doom, got that, and then hopped in a multiverse saga and Robert Downey Jr. came back as this version of Doom, that wouldn't feel like a retread. It would feel like a proper multiverse saga story. And so now all they're doing is, since Thanos before Infinity
I
War,
just think you're
he was
trying to put
properly
these.
built up. He properly showed up in things, was effective in some way, whether we got history through Gamora, saw him take over Ragnarok in the post-credit scene. Like, there was build up to Thanos. So when we got him in Infinity War, the hype train was already on. And so what they needed to do now was they looked at their schedule and went, Doomsday is supposed to come out in like 3 years. We have not shown Doctor Doom in anything. So how do we manufacture the Infinity War Thanos hype as quick as possible? Announcing Doom isn't enough for the general audience. So what they're doing is a desperate move. And they're going, bring back the guy that's going to cost $100 million. And as cool and intriguing as that is, and I'm sure they'll do solid. I'm praying the Russos still know how to make a Marvel movie in this machine. I'm praying. That's kind of one of my concerns. It's like, I hope they still know how to do this. I think they do though. I'm praying that it's good. And even if it is, it's just like at this point, I'm so past Doomsday. I'm like, let's get a Secret Wars and reboot everything. Because I already know Kevin Feige does not care about any of this. He doesn't. He wants to do X-Men. Go ahead and do X-Men. Go ahead and make X-Men our main Avengers. Give us solo movies on Wolverine,
I
on
mean, I think the
Cyclops,
X Men
on these
are. I think
characters,
the
and
X
go
Men are
ahead.
coming in the next 2 years, two
Maybe,
three
maybe.
years.
But my point is, I think Secret Wars is gonna be kind of their flashpoint, kind of their, we can
Yeah.
keep stuff and let go of stuff. That's gonna be their excuse to go.
Again,
People love Miss
I just think
Marvel,
there's no
Fantastic Four. Let's
there's
keep
no
that.
fit way to do this. I get this is what I mean when I say it's the geek in you, because for me, there's no fixed way to do this. There's no this has to come first, or we have to see this in this, or this actor can't play this. I don't.
No,
For
it's
me,
not.
look, for me, it's like this, right? I understand. I'm kind of where you are, where it's like this is never gonna be the the Doom we all want, like we want.
And that's
It's
just
never
so
gonna be
sad.
that. But for me, I'm going, well, that's not
So
what this
sad.
is. Maybe there's another universe out there that is doing that. That's just not what this is. And I accept that. Again, especially I guess I just have an open mind
You
about
can
these
accept
things.
something. You don't have to like it.
I don't have to right. I don't again,
I
it's not
accept
that I
it.
like it.
You
I
do.
accept it though. I'm just open about it. I'm open to it. And then seeing
I'm not.
concepts like this, I'm really like, huh? And again, everything
Concepts like
I'm
what? There's
hearing,
nothing about that
again,
that's like
everything I'm hearing
giving you
about what the
story
Russos want
that's
to
like, oh
do
my
here,
god.
everything that I've heard in the rumor mill, and everything I've seen about what the Russos want to do here, I know to
Mm-hmm.
you it may not mean
I,
much to you.
I haven't heard much, to be honest.
But again, to me, I really feel like they're again as as much as this isn't the Doom we want, I'm all for really interesting stuff and
Mm-hmm.
taking the characters and doing
Mm-hmm.
something interesting with them, not doing them, how
Right.
we want them to be, doing them
Right.
how we never thought to do them. And
Right.
so
I agree.
I think that we're gonna get some of this stuff and some
Mm-hmm.
storytelling that's gonna be some pretty some interesting there's going to be some interesting dialogue to have as far as what's going to happen here. So again, that's why I'm pretty open to it. And I just
Mm-hmm.
think I was open to it in the first place, but again, everything I see as far as this goes, since I'm open to it, I'm kind of, I like it, and I dig it. There's nothing really taking me from it because I'm not letting, again, the geek part in me ruin it for me, kind
Right.
of thing. You know what I mean?
I love
And
RDJ
some people
though.
are different. Some people are more like, I gotta have the geek shit if you're gonna get these characters.
Stop with
treat
the
them
geek
with the
shit, bro. He's
reverence.
playing a Ramani
Treat them with the
character, dog.
reverence
Just
that
be serious
no.
for once. Like, stop with the geek shit. Like, whether you love Doom or not, he's playing a character.
There's a way you can do Victor Von Doom without having him be Ramani.
That's not, once again, no, there's not. That's not Dr. Doom then. That's not Victor Von Doom then.
It's been done in the comics. I'm just
saying. No. You're talking about Tony Stark turning into Dr. Doom, not Victor Von
Tony
Doom.
Stark's brain. I'm talking about Tony Stark's brain.
In Victor.
Yes, in Victor. Yes.
You do understand this is a character that looks like Tony Stark. It's not his brain.
Hold on. Victor Von Doom's brain.
Uh-huh.
In Tony. Appearance.
Oh my God.
Appearance.
That would be amazing storytelling.
I don't think they're gonna, I don't even know if they're gonna do that. But I'm just saying it has been done before. There are ways to do that.
Right. And they're intriguing stories.
I'm just saying.
Just not the most. Just not the most intriguing stories. You know what I mean? Like we're rambling on this too long. It's just the concept art stuff I think was purposeful. Okay, I think they did it on purpose. I'm gonna just say straight up. This is not a Marvel.
He thinks that
This is not a new thing. Like, do you know how much of those No Way Home leaks that make no sense? You know how much of those No Way Home leaks make no sense to come out in retrospect.
Also, the concept's coming out like a month or two before they're about to start shooting.
Start filming? Come on, bro. It's not even
very telling.
It's on purpose.
We need you guys to see something before you guys see something.
I think it was to get a reaction. I think it was to go, oh look, they actually really love this Doom design. We should move forward with this. I think it was a test because if you actually look at the concept art leaks, it's not anything like too much. It's not anything like
isn't.
We're not seeing fucking Nicolas Cage Ghost Rider next to Hugh Jackman.
Okay, I'm not gonna lie. The Council one with the God Emperor, that's
not that crazy.
Because that's Secret Wars. That's kind of a lot. I'm not gonna lie.
But that's not that crazy. That's stuff like that's the equivalent of like if we got Illuminati leaks for Multiverse of Madness.
But you got to think about it like this: it's a Secret Wars concept leak.
But those are all characters we see.
There's no other Secret Wars leak out there.
Oh, you're talking about
that is crazy.
Yeah, but it's not.
But what's in it? No. What's in it isn't
like Yelena's in it. Doctor Strange is in it. Just playing different.
It almost feels like
roles.
something that could be in the Multiverse of Madness. That kind of feels like a concept.
Yeah, it seems like an Illuminati concept. Like
yeah. Understand.
I don't know. I'm gonna be sad. Day one. It's an Avengers movie.
Of course.
I'm curious to see what this team is.
I'm so curious about
the Young Avengers stuff, right on not having Elijah Bradley in there. They saw Captain America flap and was like, no more black people. Okay. Like, I guess. I see it. I see it because we're throwing in, not even America Chavez. Like,
I mean, let's be honest here.
I don't. Tommy, though. We haven't seen Tommy since WandaVision. But Tommy,
I forgot about this concept, too. But again, this could be us jumping to conclusions. This could be us jumping to conclusions. They could have for example, they could have replaced what's her name from Ant-Man 3, Kate, with
Ant-Man 3.
Yeah,
Kate Bishop is Hawkeye.
Kate, not Kate. His daughter.
Oh, Cassie.
Cassie. Like, for example, right? That's us going, well, that's the Young Avengers, where they could have replaced Cassie with, like Ironheart, for example, or something. Like, we don't know. We don't know. So again, like, it's pure speculation, pure concept. Especially like the fact that there's an Ironheart and Wonderman. Like, it really makes me wonder what they really want to do here. But I
don't think they have a true plan. I think they're like legit.
I like that I'm seeing Star-Lord in multiple of these leaks.
I mean, yeah,
that's
put
crazy.
Him on Earth. James Gunn put him on Earth, and then
but it's just crazy to me that they actually want to like have plans and utilize him. Like,
he's like one of the only people part of that OG run of Marvel that's like still there popping. What are the only other people? Thor?
No, obviously. No. Obviously. I'm not saying it doesn't make sense. Obviously,
Doctor Strange?
It makes sense. I'm just saying I'm surprised at it because, one, you build out this new Guardians team at the end of Guardians. Two, Marvel just doesn't tend to do it. Like they don't tend to like have plans for other characters. Like as far as
Well,
these
when
phases
Chris
go.
Pratt makes like $1
So,
billion every year since 2017,
well, I'm
I'm
saying
pretty
seeing a
sure
concept of what looks like um Chris Pratt Star Lord
like
in Vision
babysitting.
Quest, in Vision Quest,
Oh, that was odd.
that
I don't.
concept. That's when I was like, oh wow,
Is
like they
that
really have
still a
plans to
thing?
utilize
Is that still like
Star
happening?
Lord. I'm pretty sure Vision Quest is still happening.
I'm curious. Like these are all. I don't know. This is the issue with the. I mean, this could be for another discussion. I have an issue with the MCU and how a lot of these characters just haven't been seen since their first projects, and that's why there's no attachment to
Yeah.
them. Look at all the young characters that you actually like. It's the characters that have showed up in multiple things. Miss Marvel, Kate Bishop, right? These are characters that have showed up in multiple
Like I
things.
appreciated the Echo Crumbs in Daredevil. Be like you can't just like
Crumbs. That was
shy
a
away. You can't just shy away from your universe. Like it's weird how like they keep making
yeah.
projects that feel like they want to like leave alone the universe.
Because
It's like, bro,
studios.
even if stuff is bad, you gotta take pride in it because it makes it at least come together. Like even if it's
Studios.
bad, like I don't like Echo, but I'm glad that there are crumbs in Daredevil of Echo, like that you can clearly see, or from Hawkeye, like
They're
that you can
learning the
clearly
wrong
see.
things,
Like
bro. Studios are learning the wrong things. They see No Way Home make almost 2 billion and go, let's throw a bunch of characters in this movie. When like part of the reason No Way Home was successful was it was a very great Spider-Man story. Like actually a really great use of these previous characters to tell a Spider-Man story. It's kind of like Into the Spider-Verse. Like it was really good. But that's not what they're taking away from that. They're going, the Pyro and Deadpool and Wolverine. Like it's like no one even remembers him unless you're OG and like no one even
that's
knows
why
that.
X-23 in Deadpool Wolverine was like actually one of the few cameos that was like really good.
That
It
had
was
some
like,
heart to
oh
it. That
wow,
had
she
some
looks
weight.
like it looks like you guys brought her back for a reason.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
But
That
now
works.
they're like, Shang-Chi,
Flip
that
shit
movie
us.
that
Flip
like
shit
was
us.
new and everyone loved. Yeah, we're not getting
Put
a
it on the
sequel
back
to that.
burner.
Actually,
Coming to
put
wait.
that guy on Spider-Man 4. Makes no sense.
Throw it in the 2021 Disney time capsule. We'll open it in 2030.
Yeah,
Like
the concept art was very interesting. Obviously, you guys tell us in the comments below. What do you think about
let
all
us
these
know.
leaks? Are they interesting
Crazy,
to
crazy
you?
stuff.
How are you feeling about it? Yeah, go ahead and let us know, or let us know your thoughts down there in the comments. But let's go ahead and move on to this next topic. The Oscars. The
Oh
Oscars just
boy.
happened, hosted by the great Conan O'Brien.
The great Conan, great host.
I hope they
Great.
bring
Let's
him back.
start
I
off
hope they
there.
sign him for multiple years, because he's not proven
Do
that
they
he
do
can
that? I
do
feel
it.
like it's a different person
Yeah.
every year, though.
No. Kimmel did it for
Or
like
not,
the
or
past
at least
4 years or something. Like,
in a row.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, bro. Once you prove you can host, like they don't want to take a chance.
I
on,
mean,
like,
I always,
let's-
I always thought Conan was a great choice, though. Like, he's such a
Yeah,
safe
and
bet.
he's
Like,
hosted
so
multiple
funny.
awards shows before, and this is obviously his first Oscars. And now that he's proven he could do it, just sign him. Just make him do it for like the next 5 years. Like he's safe.
No, no,
he's
no,
a
no, no,
safe
no,
pick.
no, no. See. We got to stop it. We got to cut it. Joe Coy. Which one? Joe Coy.
Was that the Oscars though?
I'm pretty sure it was, right?
I think it was. I don't know how long ago that was though.
Bad.
That was. I mean, him and
Bad,
Kimmel
bro.
both. Let me
No,
see.
Joe Coy is like, for example, Joe Coy just did not know how to handle like some of the reactions he was getting from the audience. Sometimes he wasn't getting what he wanted from the audience. I feel like Conan did a better job at just playing off of the audience, no matter what they were giving him. Like, I'm almost certain that was the Oscar.
No, it was the
vote.
Golden
Again,
Globes. It was the Golden Globes.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yeah, it was the Golden Globes.
That's funny though. Golden Globes. Probably call Conan. Probably put some zeros on that contract.
Yeah, but what did you think about the Oscars? I know you weren't paying attention too much. Not that you need to, because these
I'm
things
not.
are.
No, again,
Some people
I'm the
really.
general audience guy.
The Oscars is my Super Bowl. Listen, unless the Raiders make it to the Super Bowl, the Oscars
yeah,
I can
fuck
count.
that.
I can count on the Oscars being my Super Bowl every year. While I don't think the Oscars make a film, I do love that the idea of a movie. I love being rewarded, right? It's kind of the conversation of like the Doom Part 2 hate, man. The Doom Part 2 the Academy was not kind to it, but they made up. They made up for it. They made up for it with Anora sweeping the Oscars. Okay, so we're gonna jump right to it.
How many Oscars did Anora win? 5?
It won 5. It won 5. It won 5. It won 5. But yeah, if I mean, so the Oscar starts. Let's go through this, right? Opens up. Conan the Substance kind of comes out of Demi Moore's body.
Ridiculous.
Loses his shoe.
Goes into
Great
a
opening.
Musical number.
That was later on. That was later on. But that was such a great opening. And I mean, immediately throws an Emilia Perez shot. I was like, oh, it's gonna be great.
Dude.
Oh, it's gonna be a great night.
When that happened, I was like, ears perked a little bit. Carla Sofia Gascon perks the ears up a little bit.
I mean, he this is why I hope they bring him back. He really understands how to make fun of the movies without like making it at the expense of like humility. Like he understands where the line is. You know, he didn't like straight up call Carla a racist or anything like that. He was just like, Anora says the F word 400 times. That's 3 more than Carla Sofia Gascon's publicist. Like, that's just great. That's great. And like, he held that shit down like the whole time.
Balls in your court, Estonia.
Balls in your court, Estonia. Just great running jokes. And then, you know, it did wander off into the just pop in, make a joke, and pop out, which, you know, I did want him to host more. I hope that now that he's proven himself, I hope they just let him like
They
go.
always
just let him go.
Here's my thing. I get the whole like celebrating the, you know, the actors and stuff like that. I feel like these hosts never get enough because of how many stars and actors they bring up to announce some of these awards. And again, I understand it because, you know, you're recognizing the film industry and, you know, actors and casts and whatnot that go up there to present these awards. They're big parts of what make this stuff work. But I just feel like sometimes there's some people they bring up that's like you're just bringing them up because they're a star.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, there were some cute moments, I will say.
And it feels like you could have Conan kind of, or the host, present the award that time and like do a little bit of a joke like while they're doing it. And it would make the show flow a lot better. It wouldn't feel as like long between the breaks
we're on
of
that
seeing
topic,
the host and
we should talk about the lows. As always, actually, surprisingly enough,
I got one in particular.
This Oscars was extremely long. So surprising. It's like that never happens. But obviously, if we're talking about the lows, I gotta talk about the James Bond. The James Bond remembrance. I mean, this is confusing because
random as hell.
They literally did like a James Bond like 50-year celebration or something like a couple years ago, and then they do this. But obviously, I think it's because the producers who have like produced James Bond like forever, obviously are done producing James Bond. But it's like so. Off rip, we're doing like an in memory of James Bond. It feels like the franchise
feels like it's dead. Like it
dead.
Feels like
it's like it's in Bezos, balls in your coat, Jeff Bezos, and it's like it feels like they know it's dead. Like they know this franchise is cooked, so they're like, let's give a
James Bond for no reason.
And then on top of that. Doja Cat, listen, Doja, listen. I love some of your songs, and
dude, I don't even know where she's been. They brought her up, and I was like, "Oh,
I think you're a great artist, Doja Cat."
It's Doja Cat. Wow,
you cannot sing "Diamonds Are Forever," and this is an issue. All three of the artists. Now, obviously, I think Ray has a phenomenal voice. I think Lisa's a phenomenal artist. I think all three of them.
We need a pipe down. We don't really.
I think all three of them.
Lisa, at least not in this household.
All three of them are great artists, but it just number one, the songs they picked did not fit their style. And they picked Ray to sing Skyfall. Like, Adele's not alive and still an artist. Like, sure, I can understand Doja Cat singing Diamonds Are Forever or something, because, like, some of these artists are, like, 80 years old and probably don't want to perform at the Oscars. That makes sense. Adele is a currently working artist with one of the greatest voices of all time. And you had someone else doing her song. You know, I don't want to badmouth Ray, but she's not Adele. Like, she's not Adele. No. And it was a mess. I mean, they were singing, they sang like 3-4 songs.
They opened it up with
Margaret Qualley, which was the best part of it. It just went downhill after that. Like, she opened up, I was like, what is this? I was like, if this is her Bond girl audition, let's get her in. I was like, okay. And then it just downhill. Doja Cat started singing, and it was like,
as a Bond girl, but
it was like, you're insane. You're insane.
I didn't see it.
Crazy. I don't know what you think a Bond girl is. I don't know if you think
the elegance. It ain't spitting through that hard. For me, at least.
Henry Cavill is James Bond, everyone. But
the elegance spits through. The elegance spits through. Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't even care about Cavill's James Bond. I wouldn't even care about
this is insane to me. Like, the Margaret Qualley.
I'm fine with Margaret Qualley. I just don't think.
I don't think you've seen her in anything. I don't think you've ever.
I don't
seen,
really. I don't. I mean,
you're
I just
crazy.
don't think she had any. I just don't think she had any place here. And,
what do you mean elegance?
Doesn't come off like a Bond girl to
elegance.
me.
A Bond girl doesn't need elegance.
Let's just move on.
A Bond girl can be a plethora of things. A Bond girl can be a fucking agent. A Bond girl can be a secret spy. A Bond girl can be just
There's just a certain sex appeal and elegance to the Bond girls that Margaret Qualley.
What are you talking about?
Didn't have, in my opinion. In my opinion, again.
So
I like
another low.
I like different.
Another low. They were clearly confused with when to play the clips and like when to not. They brought up like the 5 people, the Fab Five or whatever, but they did it for like costume design. I think that one was kind of cool because they had the costumes all behind them, and then each of the 5 people were an actor.
Only the guy from The Wicked was the only one with the costume on. I hated that because I was like, one, you should have just had everybody else with the costume.
No, that was the joke. That was the joke.
I understand. No.
Like, I thought we were wearing the costume.
I thought we were all, yeah.
And that's kind of his character in them. You didn't even watch. What are you talking? You didn't even watch Wicked. What are you talking about?
Again, I understand that. It just comes off to me like I don't know. Like. I don't know.
I thought that was cool. I mean, and then
I guess it makes sense seeing that Wicked. Everybody kind of knew Wicked was gonna win. I guess seeing that. Looking back at it, that kind of makes
first
sense.
Black man to win costume design. Great.
Yeah.
And I thought they were like confused on some stuff because there was rumors that they were gonna go back to clips. Obviously, because of the Carlos Sofia Gascon thing. The original idea was to bring back the Fab Five, which is when 5 actresses, talk lovingly about a performer, right? Each actress will talk about each nominee. After Carlos Sofia Gascon, what can you say nice? Like, it's just so the rumor was they were gonna do clips, and then they didn't. But then they did clips for like screenplay. It was weird. Like, some little things to fix. I do think overall this award show was much better than last year's. And I mean, that's really where like the qualms end. Obviously, once again, too damn long.
Okay, if that's where the qualms in for you, somebody's got to say it. Somebody's got to say it.
The Amelia Perez.
Yeah, the
song win was
the speech.
Let me just say, what a way for Amelia Perez's award season run to end. them trying to start a singing chant, failing, getting played off the stage.
It's so symbolic.
It is
It's
the most satisfying way. Like, kid, no one's singing Amelia, but no one's gonna just break out into like.
She had to be down a couple glasses of champagne that night.
I do feel there is still an
going on.
icky feeling in me that 𝙎𝙬𝙆𝙀𝙁 still got an Oscar technically for that because I think he wrote the song. So like I do think he didn't deserve an Oscar at all. So that's still a little icky feeling. But man, what an absolute
that I just feel like had to be brought up. Also me personally, just a gripe I had. I told you about this already. It's just a gripe I had. Halle Berry kissing the Adrian Brody. I did not like that shit.
That wasn't
they
like
tried,
a
it was a
thing,
joke.
though.
It was a funny little joke and ha ha ha. Remember when I was like,
but that wasn't during
Halle
the
Berry,
ceremony
come on,
or anything.
Stop. Like, it wasn't. It was no, it wasn't. It wasn't.
It was on the carpet, I think.
It was just a gripe I had, but clearly it was kind of a whole joke about what happened last Oscars or not last Oscars. Some years ago and
some years ago,
just
decades ago.
Some years ago. Just rubbed me the wrong way, and it was just weird. But
as for the good,
I did feel like that speech had to get brought up because if you were gonna bring, I was gonna bring it up.
Yeah, I think as for I think this was like solid for winners. I think No Other Land winning documentary was really surprising.
I mean, let's call it what it is. Sean Baker getting as many Oscars as he did is
first person to win 4 Oscars for one movie.
Crazy.
Bong Joon-ho was close, I think. I think he won 3 for Parasite.
For Parasite? Okay.
But one of the Oscars they won international, and that doesn't go to the director. That goes to the country. So while it won multiple Oscars, he didn't get the 4. And before we go into the anora stuff, I just think like some of these winners was great. I think I'm Not a Robot. I think that's the name of the short. I'm Not a Robot. I think that one, love that it won. And then I loved the No Other Land documentary win was crazy to me. I didn't think the Academy had the balls to nominate, or not to nominate, but to vote for a documentary based on Israel and Pakistan coming together.
Yeah.
I didn't know they had the nuts to do that, but they did, and that was great. Their speech was phenomenal. Other Low, they started playing off so many people, which like even 30 seconds into their speeches, but then gave Adrian Brody 6 minutes. Like I don't know about cutting off the Dune.
I'm not gonna lie, Adrian Brody doing 3.
And like, don't get me wrong, I like this speech, but he was like, "Stop playing me up. I've been here," and then proceeded to say like a bunch of nothing. Like he
not only
say
that,
anything.
he told them to stop playing, and then like we're silent for like 20 seconds almost.
Yeah,
thank you.
Yeah, I mean that's just how he speaks. And he went on. I think he has the longest Oscar speech.
He was dragging it.
But then we're playing off 50 seconds in the Dune, the Dune people that won for sound.
Yeah.
Or was it VFX? Like one of the people was stepping up to the mic and didn't even get to talk, and that was so rude. And but yeah, some of the wins. I mean, it did make me happy. Seeing, No Other Land win documentary. Flow was by far, I don't think I've been happier to see. It's crazy because we knew
it had strong chances, but it's just kind of crazy that when it actually happens, like it's kind of
first
like
Latvian
surreal.
film to be nominated at the Oscars, let alone win. First indie movie to win animated movie. I mean, this is a movie that was made with a staff of like 15 people over 4 years.
Blender, bro.
In Blender. Like, if this is as indie as it gets, like, literally, for an animated movie,
this is literally you and your homies could make a short version of this movie on it, like.
Exactly. And
kind of like for a school project, kind of be like, for real.
It's very inspirational. As much as I think with the Wild Robot has, a bunch of techniques, it has the budget, it has everything.
The moms were mad. The moms
were angry. And yeah, as much as I love the Wild Robot, Flow to me is a much more significant win. DreamWorks has won already, and I don't think voting for the Wild Robot does anything. I don't think it makes any changes to studios. I
Yeah,
don't think it
not really.
influences anyone to do anything. The Wild Robot is your typical, like, animated big studio movie with just more heart. And Flow is just it really proves to people that might be sitting there animating things thinking they can't make a movie or whatever, that they can. Like actually it has influence. It's beautiful. Just, I mean, this was the win. I'm sorry. For me,
I
my
really
favorite
hope Flo
animated
getting
film
this win here is
of the
like
year.
a trend of what the trajectory of the Oscars will be moving forward. Because I would love to see like a 𝙎𝙬𝙚 win an Oscar.
That is 2 years. That
That would be
technically, I
crazy.
know The Boy and the Heron isn't necessarily an indie movie, but when you compare it to everything else in its category, it's the smallest by far. And that's 2 years in a row where both animated features are the smallest movie in its category. So maybe that is a trend.
𝙎𝙬𝙚 has a chance.
I don't think that's
𝙎𝙬𝙚 has a
small. I don't think
chance.
that's a small movie.
It's not small, but it has a chance to win.
It
Oh my
does.
god,
I
it has
can't
a chance
think
to
of
win.
any. It has really weak competition this year as well.
Yeah, it
So
doesn't
it has
have. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it has a strong chance. But that was a highlight. And then, I mean, let's talk about it. The Anora sweep made my day. It started off as expected. Anora winning best original screenplay. I had that predicted. I said, let's go. Let's. Yes. And then shit shifted very quickly when it won editing. When it won editing, I was like, oh my god, it's winning. Like it's getting best done. Like Conclave's done now because Conclave won adapted screenplay, but it was editing. I had Conclave winning editing, and that was gonna be the deciding factor. As soon as Anora won editing, I knew who won best picture. It was Anora, right? Already locked that in. But then Mikey Madison winning. A lot of people are mad about this. Why? Why are we mad that Mikey
I
Madison
predicted this
carried
to happen.
carried?
I said since like day one, I was like, Mike Madison's winning the Oscar.
I should have went with that guess
She's winning
because
the Oscar.
if you base it off of last year's, Emma Stone won, and let's be honest. Oh, while I do think she deserved it, I think it did come down to her and Lily being out for a lot of the movie, while Emma Stone is basically the anchor for that
I also
movie.
think
And I think
Lily
that
Rose Depp should have
was
been nominated here
I do as
for
well.
not for her role in Nosferatu.
I do as well. I do think
And go ahead.
I do think that there's a similarity between the winners for Best Actress here and for last year. As much as people are like, oh, Demi Moore should have won, it would have been so great because of the longevity of her career. And while I agree, I do think her chances were hurt by the fact that she shares that movie with another person for like a majority of the second half of the movie. And while I do think in that second half, it caused a lot on a 60-year-old woman. Like, a lot. Like, she's doing a lot of physical things. She's got a lot of makeup on her in some scenes. She is digging deep, but she's splitting a lot of that runtime with Margaret Qualley, while Mikey Madison is carrying the entire 2.5 hour movie with people that are foreign, with like, multiple different genres being like touched upon, and she's doing physical things with her body, of course, learning different languages, dialect. Like, she's doing so much that I'm sorry. If you think Mikey Madison did not deserve that Oscar, I genuinely don't know who else does. She like
I
this
think
isn't
I think it's kind of crazy that um Honora wins best editing because then that Oscar goes to Sean Baker because obviously he edits the movie.
Yep.
I just think it's insane that it was like because you think after he wins best editing, okay, then they're probably gonna give best director to
I
someone
thought they were
else
gonna
or
give it
something.
to Brady, but the DGA win made me go with Sean Baker in the end. I was like, nah, it's
vice
his year.
versa, or vice versa. What it was, maybe for you and like a plethora of the people who were guessing, he's probably not gonna win best editing, and so when he doesn't, but it's okay because it'll win best director.
Yeah,
And for
it'll
him
win
to
director
win
and
best
picture.
editing,
And when he won editing, that was crazy.
That was just kind of crazy because it's like.
And he immediately goes up there.
He had
the
strong
first
chances
words
for best director already. So it's crazy that not only was Honora like throughout award season not really picking up the editing awards throughout award season. But it's just crazy that it's like, okay, it was kind of known Sean Baker's going to win Best Director.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy when editing comes up first and then you see him win that, and it's like, is he about to win like multiple
everything is
and
now
then he
Anora.
Just he's just on the podium the entire time more than Conan.
Yeah, and four speeches. 4 for fucking 4, and I love the directing speech he gave when Tarantino, obviously him and Tarantino are great friends, but Tarantino obviously presented the nominees. Sean Baker goes up there and immediately starts with, I wouldn't have casted Mikey if you didn't cast her in Once Upon a Time. And that was just so, like, immediately just knows what he's going to say, talks about the theatrical experience and how it saves independent cinema and how people should go to watch movies in theaters. And I love how suspiciously, right when he was making an argument against streaming, Hulu decided to crash. Maybe odds timing. I don't know if they did that on purpose.
Weird.
Very, very odd. I do think that killed a lot of their viewership as well. But yeah, I mean, Sean Baker, I mean, what can I say? The man didn't get his due diligence for one of the greatest movies of the last decade, one of my favorite movies of all time, The Florida Project. You know, I loved Anora. I still think The Florida Project is his magnum opus. And the fact that the only thing that movie got was a nomination for Willem Dafoe is ridiculous to me. And it felt like he was so long overdue. He's probably, arguably, and to me, the most significant filmmaker in independent cinema. And for him to just sweep, just screamed like these voters and the people in the Academy have changed. Like, this has shifted. You know, while 30 years ago, a blockbuster would win every now and then, a Forrest Gump, a Braveheart, like a blockbuster would win every now and then. Now, it seems like a real shift in independent cinema. And sure, you can argue, but Oppenheimer won that year. That's a big movie. That was Nolan getting his flowers. That was Nolan getting his due diligence, what he deserved for years on end. And I think this is a shift in the voters in like showing us that Flo winning right after that, Anora. And it's like, oh, snap.
I will say though, voters, get your ass out the motherfucking Criterion closet and go watch some goddamn blockbusters, because you're gonna piss me off.
Can't believe they
with the Dune Part 2 shit.
Didn't watch Dune Part 2. That is crazy to me.
Like, bro, I'm glad a lot of y'all watched Anora and loved Anora.
One of the anonymous members is like, I couldn't invest 3 hours of my time, as if Oppenheimer didn't win, as if. Did you watch The Brutalist? I'm pretty sure you watched The Brutalist.
It pisses me off because it's such an issue because again, media becoming such an important and such a, like, it's something that's so leaned on heavily now in society, just throughout everything. And it just pisses me off that we can't even, figure that shit out first, because I feel like there's just a lot of times where, again, there's this investment in media where the media that's being invested in isn't even like worth investment. Like, again, like the fact that
Emilia Perez over Dune 2, bro.
Yeah. The fact that all these Oscar voters and stuff like that, like, are Oscar voters and didn't even watch one of the Best Picture nominations it's one of those things that kind of makes you go, well, that makes no fucking sense. That makes zero fucking sense, right? And it's kind of an issue where it's like we make media way more important than it is. Kind of like, like Rotten Tomatoes, for example, right? It's kind of like, who is this guy to talk about this R-rated action flick and rated 1.5 stars because of how gory it is, and he doesn't watch gory action movies? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's that kind of thing where it's kind of like, the importance of how we treat like the media and the people that like are behind all this stuff. Like, I would be much more okay with it if it like made sense. Again, I wouldn't have an issue and wouldn't even be talking about this right now if you just watch the Best Picture nominations. I don't think that's hard.
I mean, they just simply shouldn't be allowed to vote. If you don't watch all 10 nominations, you shouldn't be allowed to vote. It's that simple. I don't understand how that's a crazy concept. and how you can just pick and choose. So basically, someone could have legit just watched The Brutalist.
I was about to say, yeah, just one movie.
And nominated. And that is just, that's horrible. I do think, if anything, this award season has, and what I loved specifically about both Dune winners for VFX and sound, immediately
Still
both of them went out
Denis wasn't
thanking
nominated
Denis.
for directing.
Immediately, the first words to come out of both of those teams' mouth was thanking Denis and talking about how great he is to work with. I do think this entire award season, how they've treated him, will most likely start an avalanche, and hopefully, I think he'll get his flowers with Dune 3.
In years' time, too, it'll be looked at like,
I do think so.
You'll just see people like look up, hey, Dune Part, let's watch Dune Part, like in years' time, like 10, 15 years from now. Yo, we just watched Dune Part 1. Some like random kids in high school that like, yo, we just watched Dune Part 1. Yo, let's watch Dune Part 2. They look it up on their phone. They look at like the Rotten Tomato score and like how people talk about it. And it has like 2 Oscar nominations. And it's like, bro, it's like something not lining up here.
No,
it's
they
like,
got
bro, I'm
more,
sorry.
or
This movie should have been getting
2?
way more recognition, because it's like these kids should be looking at their phones and seeing it have like 5 nominations and at least a win. Like,
when you look at
like,
the Lord of the Rings movies, I'm pretty sure Lord of the Rings tied for like the most wins in a single night.
It really shows how things have like are just drastically different.
A lot of people are a lot more for the independent stuff, and that makes me curious because, while I've appreciated the Oscars for putting more.
Where was this energy when Wes Anderson was good?
I mean, Wes Anderson finally got an Oscar. Unfortunately, it was for a short and not for a movie that he deserved it, The Grand Budapest Hotel. But even though Boyhood should have won that year, actually. Boyhood should have won that year. I still can't believe we gave an Oscar to Birdman over Boyhood. While I love Birdman, Boyhood might never be made ever again. We will continue to get one shot.
Boyhood would have won this year.
Yeah, it would have atomized everything. Yeah, that's a movie. But I think I've always liked that the Academy sheds light on these more smaller movies that would otherwise not be on people's radar. For example, like Nickel Boys making Best Picture is so great. Like that is such a good thing.
Yeah, I didn't even know what that movie was.
And and like obviously I think Sing Sing should have got its due diligence, and it definitely didn't. But it does seem like it's a double-edged sword, because while I love that they're, shedding more light on these smaller movies that are phenomenal, there's probably so many people that have seen Anora around but didn't know how good it was until it won a Best Picture award, and now they go watch it. As much as I love all that, I do think like there's just no way you sit down, you watch a Dune Part 2, and that shouldn't be getting at the bare minimum 5 Oscars. Like that is just a humongous achievement behind the camera and to put on the screen. That is such a tough production to put on the screen. Like that is, it's crazy. And that is, kind of my only.
Then you change that rule too, that like prevented the score from being nominated.
Yeah, I do think so. Man. If we can nominate Indiana Jones 5's score, don't see an issue with nominating Dune Part 2's.
Because realistically speaking, Dune Part 2 would have had a really strong chance at winning Best Score, and probably would have won.
Anora was my second favorite movie of 2024, behind Dune Part 2, of course. And I think
it was
it's
third,
sweet.
I think.
It's sweet, and I'm so glad it did. It deserved every minute of it. And if you argue against it, you probably didn't watch the movie. And if you think Mikey Madison didn't deserve it because she's throwing ass, because that's what you think she does for 2 hours of the runtime, just to let you know, it's less than 5 minutes. You should probably watch the movie. It's ridiculous, and the amount of people that are talking about Anora specifically and have clearly not seen it is hilarious. Would I have been happy if Demi Moore won? Of course. I think her speech would have most likely been better too. I do think Mikey was not prepared to win. Like she was. I don't think she thought she had a chance.
I would have been happy if Lily Rose Depp won.
No, she's sharing that screen with a lot of other phenomenal actors. It's just too much. Like
Case in point.
Mikey did too much. Mikey just carried such a phenomenal, and it's not even like she carried a movie that was like all right. Like this is a Poor Thing situation where like she is the anchor to a phenomenal movie, and it's like she deserves it. And I'm glad Anora swept. This is great for Sean Baker because he deserved his flowers for so long. And yeah, let us know
Tom
your
Baker went
thoughts.
from getting neglected and disrespected at the Oscars to like
Just
setting records, and so many
racking up.
people would love having more Oscars
Yeah,
than so many people
people's
in just
career
one
in
night.
one night.
One night.
Sean Baker won
Bro
more
probably
Oscars
bro probably
than
hated the
Steven
Academy.
Spielberg
He
in
probably
his
loves the
career.
Academy now. He's probably like, the Academy's
Yeah.
my boys.
You guys tell us in the comments below what you guys think about the 2025 Oscars. How'd you feel about it, all that. But we're finally in our final topic. It took a long time to get here, but we're here. Daredevil, Born Again, premiered. We're going to go jump straight into spoilers because it's been a couple of days at the time of this recording.
I think you should have already watched it. Just
Yeah.
be honest here.
Yeah. The first two episodes they dropped, and we're going to give our quick thoughts. We can go into spoilers, of course. There isn't really much to talk about outside of some, key moments and some key things they've dropped in that are setting up for the future of the show. But I'll lay out the carpet for you. Go ahead and talk about these first two episodes. Say whatever you got to get off your chest.
Okay. Well, for starters, I liked episode 1 better than episode 2. I know you're the opposite.
Yeah, I
You
really
like
liked
2 better than
2.
1. I liked 1 better than episode 2. I really like the opening for episode 1. Let's just get right into it. Foggy dying, the way they do Foggy's death, if he is dead, don't know. But the way that they do that, while Daredevil was kind of fighting Bullseye and, really building up that that tension and that sense of thrill in the scene. I just love the way that it was directed and the way they went about it. Yet the visuals were kind of spotty. I hate that it was like so much like fog. Well,
Yeah.
I guess it makes sense because he threw a smoke, but like at the same
But
time,
before that, like when they walked out of Josie's,
yeah, but that just seemed
it's
like
super foggy for and dusty.
Yeah, it seemed like they were trying to have like this vibe of like this like steamy,
it's
like
ominous,
like the steamy like cut in New York, but like it was just kind of OD. But again, I love the way, I love the one shot, I love the one take. It flowed really cool. It felt really cool in it. Like while I was watching it, it felt cool. It felt like a dope one take. It didn't just feel like some stupid one take that's just like, oh, this is just trying, but like it's whack. I liked it. And Bullseye, killing as how many civilians I don't even know. And Matt listening to the heartbeat of Foggy and listening to Karen, as he's fighting him, and ultimately, basically breaking his code and just tossing Bullseye off the roof, which was like a total like, oh shit, like moment.
I guess.
When it happened, yeah, we were both like, what the fuck? Because we didn't really expect them to do it. And the way the shot cuts to it, I like the way that it happens. And yeah, he kind of breaks his code, and it ends off with like that beautiful glorious shot of like his mask falling, and as it just transitions right into the intro. And I really love this introduction here, with all the characters together. The vibes were right, and you could clearly tell it was some like, oh, feel good shit because somebody's about to die. Some like when you watch a horror movie trailer and you have like early 2000s pop music playing in the first like 20 seconds with everybody partying as it turns to like a dark moment. It just felt like something was gonna happen at some point, and it did. But again, I love the way that they handled that. I love the way, could they have done it better? Yeah. But as far as what they put out and how they did it, I like the way that they handled it. And as far as the rest of the episode goes, they set up some groundwork for Daredevil and Kingpin. I love the conversation in the diner that they have. It's so like
They're
the
just
dialogue
so
is they're so
phenomenal.
good. They're ready to go
They're-
to the big screen. I'm sorry,
They're
like
phenomenal.
we needed the Daredevil live action movie already because they're so ready to like go into the big screen.
Have
They're
we
just
seen
operating on
Kingpin
this.
at all in a movie.
No. And what it feels like here is it feels like when you see Colin Farrell's Penguin down do the Penguin show, It's
Hmm.
like you can clearly tell it's like this guy should not be in the show. Like he's just
Yeah, he's on a different. He's
like
working at a
he's on
different
a
level.
different he's working on a different level, and that's what I kind of get when I see Daredevil and Kingpin like in this
What were
conversation in a
your
diner.
What were your negatives or your gripes?
Okay, as far as my gripes go, again, visually, like it doesn't it's not even half of what Netflix's Marvel's Daredevil was on Netflix. And again, high bar to clear. And what I would argue did set the gold standard for like cape shit on television or on streaming,
I
or
can't
even just
think of
shows in
one
general. Like
that came before it
honest
that was better. I can't think of a
like
single live action superhero show before
no, no,
that
no, of
that
course not.
was better.
And honestly speaking, the show not only is like the best looking superhero show, it looks better than most shows in general. So again, and from the marketing and trailers and stuff, never expected Born Again to look like the Netflix version, and it seemed like they were kind of marketing it like, hey, this isn't really the Netflix version, but there's some Netflix characters, and we're bringing some of that lore here. But yeah, visually that was one of my negatives, is that visually it just wasn't that up to par. Still like the way it looks, but it just isn't the Netflix version. And then just some of these transitions into this newer show that they're doing,
Hmm.
um not as much feeling like the Netflix version, but like the MCU's version of Daredevil with some Netflix stuff in it. These new characters, I think one of the guy, the police, I think his name is Cherry, I
Hmm.
think. And
Yeah,
then Matt's his partner in at the law firm.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I think her name is like McDuffie or something. Um
The BB
they're I
report.
mean, I don't think they're bad characters. And also the BB, I forgot,
The BB report, bro.
I
The
think her
BB
last
report,
name is like Ulrich or something, which is really, you know,
bro. That's
it
the
makes me wonder what
niece.
they have.
That's the niece of what's it called, Ben.
Yeah, 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 I know. I'm saying like I hadn't realized that up until I saw that she did have the same last name. I just didn't realize it like while I was watching it.
Mm.
But yeah, the BB report, her whole character, like I'm not really too invested right now. And again, first two episodes in, I don't really expect to be. There's sometimes you'll watch a show and you'll be right in on characters, and
Yeah.
sometimes it just takes some episodes some time to grow. I don't hate them. It's just kind of like, and like I could do without them, and I could use some focusing on somewhere else. I kind of like the little BB report things, like when you get the little New Yorkers, like in
Hmm.
New York, like talking, because I feel like with the whole plot revolving around Kingpin being like a mayor and like
Hmm.
stuff like that, I feel like it makes a lot of sense to figure out like the feel of New York at the time and what they're feeling as far as all this stuff goes. And I just like it in general because it makes you, it puts you into the shoes of the people in the universe. But yeah, other than those two things, and maybe the plot slowing down a little bit at some points, and feeling like some of it is rushing even at some points. Other than that, those are like my only negatives. I really think like overall, like this is like a really good start, and I think it's gonna get even better like as it goes
I
on.
hope so. I hope so. I think yeah. As for me, I do think how do I say this? The the foggy
Oh,
dying.
in the CG, some of the CG is wonky. There was one shot in particular.
I
Again,
expect
I could
that to
go into
probably
spoilers.
improve. Hopefully.
There was one shot in particular of what's the name? White Tiger.
Hmm.
Um, when he was fighting those dudes on the train station,
Hmm.
and like the train was going by him, and he was like, he
It's
kind of just had his
just
hands up or something for like 4 seconds long or something, and it's like a 4 second shot that's like, bro, this looks
green
like
screen.
ass. Like 4 seconds of like ass. I was like, damn, I'm surprised that they let that shot go through. But other than that shot, everything else looked pretty good for the most part. Some wonky bits, but nothing that bad. That was like the one thing that was like, I was like, whoa, like very took me out of it for a second, kind of glaring. But other
Hmm.
things, they're just kind of like, CGI is not perfect or up to par, or you can kind of tell it's CG. But again, I think most people, especially general audience people, they won't even care. Like
Hope
half the
not.
time,
I
they'll probably
think
think it's real anyways.
I really like I remember when this show was first happening, and this is when it was like an entirely different show. Like they weren't even.
Like MCU's Daredevil straight up. Like,
Yeah, they approached it
yeah,
as like not a season 4. They approached it as like it's like we're doing our own thing with it, and then they killed Foggy, and that was like the rumor, and that stirred a lot of controversy, including with myself. I was not a fan of that, but what they're doing in this show, I will say, it's very interesting how they're using that to affect Matt and that entire kind of storyline they're going, or that decision to go with that ultimately affects Daredevil as a character, and it's really intriguing. I'm not even gonna lie, like that's one of the highest compliments I have because I was so against Foggy dying, but it's actually created something very interesting for Matt's character and very
yeah.
investing. On top of that, I do want to say, as for the subplots in here, not the most interested in some of them. I'd say the two big ones
What?
are
You're not
in
crawling on
our
your hands
items.
and knees for the BB
The
report?
BB report, bro. Yeah, I'm gonna get into that later, but I do think the White Tiger stuff is probably the most interesting stuff to me.
I really like
Even
that.
I like it even more than what they're doing with Fisk. I do think what they're doing with Fisk is
Okay.
interesting, but I just think that White Tiger stuff has a lot of potential and can be the backbone of some really interesting character arcs and storytelling with
Themes.
Daredevil. Yeah, themes with like faith and just that there's a lot of potential there, and I do like what the actor is bringing. I do think he passed away unfortunately, but he's bringing some real gravitas. Like every
Yeah.
time he's on screen, he is just like there's weight to his character, and I really love that. And yeah, I mean, what's there not to
Matt working with the
say?
superhero is kind of cool too.
What's there not
It's
to
kind of
say about Vincent D'Onofrio and Charlie Cox? They are phenomenal. I mean,
dude.
just it's like they never left, thankfully. And yeah, overall, I really liked this episode. I think it was solid. One of the better premieres for the MCU. I think honestly, the only one I'd put above is like Loki. That's it. Like it's right. It's right under it. And yeah, I do prefer episode 2. I think the pacing of episode 1 is really off. But you know that's okay. It was like an hour long anyways, so like there was a lot to
Yeah.
fit in there to set up, and hopefully a lot of that gets paid off. As for my gripes, I do think the CG was not good. I hope that, and I do expect that to be like improved. Because if there's anything, I think they would focus more on the back half of a show's effects and stuff
Well, not even that. I
rather
feel
than the
like
first
early
half.
on in these first two episodes, a lot of the CG and action bits were like reshot and like
Reshot in
I
last
feel like
more or
I
last
just feel like
minute.
a lot of the stuff early in these first maybe 2-3 episodes are like where they were fiddling the most, where they were picking up reshoots, where they
Yeah,
were looking at the script, doing different like still fiddling. So I feel like a lot of that stuff,
yeah.
like early on, I feel like later on it'll look a lot better.
I hope
It'll
so.
feel a lot more like complete, like a lot
Yeah.
more
Um.
official.
As for, I really liked
Finished.
the opening bullseye fight. I thought that was great, and
Yeah.
I do expect they're probably gonna retcon his spine into being like vibranium or something. That would just
Well,
make more
wasn't it
sense.
adamantium?
It was cogmium from the original
Okay, okay,
series.
okay.
And while like they could do that, they would have to retcon a bunch of stuff timeline wise for it to be adamantium because the MCU didn't discover it till like a couple years ago, and Dex got that a long time ago, way before they discovered adamantium. So maybe it'll be vibranium, or maybe it'll still be cogmium. Maybe that starts to be canon in the MCU now. But yeah, he was real. He posed a huge threat as always. Just bone
To
chilling.
anybody.
Like yeah, and yeah, when
Anybody in
Daredevil
the
threw him
vicinity.
off, I gasped. I like legit like so much air came out of my body because I know the weight of that, right? We understand Daredevil's code at this point, and it's
I
a very
mean,
interesting. It's a
he
very
falls off the roof.
interesting. Yeah,
Daredevil's mask. is falling shortly
Yeah.
after. That
Yeah, I
the
do like
symbolism there.
the symbolism in the title sequence of him being rebuilt, and you see the little horn like be the
Oh
part
yeah, I
that like
love it. I love that he has that he kind of holds that little horn and carries it
yeah.
around.
He's
You see it
really
in
affected
episode
by
two.
Foggy's death, and I love that it has a weight. What
It's
I
kind of
will
like a
say,
motivation for the guy. I love it.
the show is not visually the best. And I might be harder on this than others. This is one of the like weaker looking MCU shows. Like I think it really looks just murky and muddy and like flat, and like even stuff like Falcon the Winter Soldier had like feel to it, had texture, had like brightness to it, and it just feels like even in the daytime scenes, like when they're at the diner, there's something so off about like how the show looks. And you know, it's stepping into some humongous shoes for sure. But I just hope like, you know, these two episodes are one of the weaker looking ones. I do hope that is the case. And I do think that will be, especially like with the VFX and stuff, I think that also plays a part in it. Is like just like, you know, some of these shots are unfinished. And yeah, there's moments like when Daredevil was running on the rooftop, I genuinely couldn't even like see what was on the screen. And also, uh, how do I say this in a way that doesn't sound like not pretentious, but like it feels like Marvel is attempting to do the Daredevil tone and the Daredevil grit and the Daredevil maturity without having like the like authenticity of like that's what they wanna do. Like that's what it's always been. It feels like they're doing that because that's what the show is. The show's gritty, it's bloody, they say fuck a lot, so we gotta do it. It
I
doesn't feel like
disagree. Actually,
they
I
wanted
think that's
to.
like something like Echo. I think this is
Echo is not
way. This
like
feels
that.
way. I
Echo
think it
is,
is.
they're not
I think it
cussing up
is.
a storm in Echo. There's not a bunch of blood in Echo. Like what are you
No,
talking?
no, no, they're not. But they are in Marvel's Daredevil, the Netflix version. This is just
What?
doing what the.
Oh yeah,
This
I
is
know, I
just
know.
doing what the other one did.
But that's what I'm
And it
saying. It
doesn't feel
feels more
forceful to
like
me.
it's doing
It
it
feels very fine
because
to me.
that's what the show was,
Like the
instead of
scene in
that's what they
episode
want
two
to
where
do.
Matt beats up the two police officers and like they're saying like get the fuck out of here and this and that,
hmm
and like it's like a brutal ass fight. None of that feels forced or like all
I'm
of that
once
feels
again.
authentic and
I'm
like
not saying it feels
honestly
forced. It just feels
a little
like
bit like the Netflix stuff.
it just kind of has the vibe of like we got to do it because the like show because that's what the show was, and it just doesn't come off like. And I do think a part of that is
I
like
think
the
maybe that may
look.
be a little
I think
pre-biased
a
for
part
me.
of that is like the look. It does not have the grit, the like texture and the tactileness of the
I
show
feel like it
of
is
the
an
original
implicit
show.
bias though that like everybody's kind of like because it doesn't look exactly like the show. Now
But
when
that
you get a
adds to
lot of
it
these
being
more
more
elements.
real. Can you understand how like when you're looking at something a
But
lot
can you also
more
understand how if the show didn't exist, how if the Netflix version didn't exist and this was the only one that existed, that
hmm
probably wouldn't be as big of a topic.
Yeah, of course. It's very
That's what I'm
comparative.
saying.
Like
It's kind of
that
like an implicit
that is
bias
the
where it's
thing.
like the Netflix show had the grit and the texture to it and like all of that. And like
hmm
now that this show doesn't, it makes us I mean, not only does it make us miss it, but it makes us more harsher on this show because of
Yeah.
that. And I don't know, I just feel like I mean, I disagree with you. I think it looks better than a lot of most MCU shows. And I just feel like a lot of the qualms that are to be had here are because it's not like the Netflix version, and there's things that kind of rub us the wrong way because we like the Netflix version for this, and this doesn't have that, so I don't like that
Yeah,
kind of thing.
and they're doing some interesting stuff with like particularly his senses. I really like what they're doing with that. And then yeah, it's just I was really excited to see Daredevil with like an MCU treatment, an MCU budget. And you're getting some of that. But I will say it's rough when like I do think there's something odd about when you see him and stuff like No Way Home and like She-Hulk, right? Where those are more lighter in tone, lighter in just in its approach. And I'm not gonna lie, if he feels more belonging in those projects, and I think that's because the MCU is like that like the way he acts in this show is very akin to the way he acts in the Netflix show, but because of the way it looks, because of their approach to it, because they're not taking, the minute things that makes the Netflix series work, it doesn't feel as
I feel
approachable.
like part of it is like an adjustment period too.
A little bit,
part
yeah.
Of it is
we're
like
like
what
five
you just said.
episodes in, we'll be
I feel like
like
part of it is kind of what you just said, though. It's that there are elements from the Netflix show that are in this show, but it isn't the Netflix show. So it's this. It feels like this weird. It's kind of. I'm not gonna say it is this, but it's that same like Justice League problem. That's like you have this amalgamation of like Snyder's work and Joss Whedon's work, and it's like
such dark characters, but you're trying to put a light.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say it's that bad, but I'm saying it's that same thing where it's just it's two different things molding together.
Like they want to have their cake and eat it too. They don't want to go full.
We don't really like the way it feels. But again, like as the show goes on, it could be something where it's like taking the first couple of episodes to kind of filter that Marvel that Netflix stuff in, and then once it's filtered in, everything starts to flow a lot more smoothly, and it feels like its own thing. And we'll be all fine with it in the end. I just feel like it's this kind of up this hill we're battling with.
That's what's so difficult about kind of going off of just this whole first season alone, knowing like behind the scenes. Like I gotta see season 2 to truly know what their ideas are, because this does feel like while it was solid, and that premiere was good, it does feel like taking scraps and like making something good out of it. And like I want to see what their approach is when they just approach it good and don't have to fuck with the scraps.
We gotta have some plans for bringing this character to the big screen too.
Yeah, that, and it's just like don't get me wrong, I love the grittiness, and I think that should stay in how mature the show is. But I don't think it's crazy to say, like, I think I would have probably preferred if they just went just the like MCU, like just go, like don't even try to like Daredevil season 4.
They could be wanting to do that, but they have to filter the stuff in first to get there. Because from what I've heard of people that have watched it sounds like that's what's gonna happen. It sounds like a lot of this season 1. It sounds like a lot of the first half of the season, especially early on, is gonna feel like
scraps being picked up
and like this weird amalgamation, and then you get Born Again, where it's like
that's why I'm saying I want to see season 2 where from the jump it's their idea, it's their approach, it's not fixing a bunch of stuff. And I do think, like, hate me all you want, hate She-Hulk all you want, that like to me that felt more natural, like, for some reason. And I do think that's because obviously they
were all in on that vision of Daredevil in the yellow suit being super whimsical on the West Coast side.
Exactly. So like I want to see the MCU's approach to Daredevil. Stop trying to give me Daredevil season 4 if you're not going to give me Daredevil season 4, because they're not. They're not. It's an MCU.
And while you're there,
Daredevil season 4.
That's what's funny about the conversation surrounding this, because it's a lot of people that kind of are in an uproar because it's not exactly like the Netflix version.
And that's what I'm saying.
Okay, you're calling it Born Again. The Netflix version was peak. Right. Exactly. But number 2, I honestly feel like the MCU does want to go there, where you're saying, to their own Daredevil. But I also feel like somewhere in behind the scenes and stuff, there was somebody that was kind of like, hey, that's cool, we can do that, but since we're using the same characters and stuff like that, can we kind of shed some reverence on the Netflix series first?
Exactly. They're trying to have their cake and eat it
find a way, kind of like RDJ and Doomsday, try to find a way to make that flow and work and filter it into the plans we have going forward. Because if we can get that out the way, things will be a lot more smoother.
I mean this as respectfully as possible. I really liked the premiere. But if this is what like we're getting as like the season 4, just give me MCU Daredevil. Go full on like your Daredevil, Kevin Feige. I don't care. Give me your Daredevil, because this isn't season 4 of like the Netflix show. Stop pretending like it is. Stop trying to amalgamate it into that, because then you end up with stuff that's great and then lower lows. Just give me like
I honestly think that's probably why you like
vision.
episode 2 a little bit more. Is because episode 2 is a lot more MCU like vision wise, with like the White Tiger stuff and the Murdoch and McDuffie stuff. Like all of it does not feel like Netflix. Like it literally feels like we're watching a new show. If it wasn't for like, you know, that conversation with Karen or like you know, some other elements. Because like even Kingpin, we've kind of adjusted to at this point as being like a part of the MCU. And like I feel like a lot of people have it, and again, they're trying to kind of weave that. They're kind of weaving these elements in. I hope that it moves. It does that moving forward as much as episode 2 did, because I feel like episode 1, and maybe that's why I like it the most. It does have that though. It does have more of those Netflix elements.
So fast. I was like,
I mean,
they should have just started off the show with
when
him,
you
like,
can pay
running
for anything and you have all the eyes and ears.
But that's what I'm saying. The show should have started off with him just in the run, like full on, like it's about to end. The election's about to end. Like they straight up were like, he's running for mayor. He's mayor. Like it's like okay, like. I mean,
they were saying that the election was about to end. They were saying that like he was like leading it and stuff like that. And
yeah, but it was also.
And then it was like, and then that's why you have Fisk say, "Well, I'm like basically mayor now." So, and like, you know, that's why once it came, it was like
where some of these plot lines end up. Overall, I very much enjoyed it, and mostly for Charlie Cox, Vincent D'Onofrio.
There's some interesting stuff they're doing here, like the part where he's like outside the church, like listening into like the whole you know, they're spitting the gospel in the church, but he's not in there. Like that like imagery of like he just feels like he can't step in there.
He feels like
he feels like he can't step in there, but he still wants to listen to those words. Or at the ending when he's fighting those two corrupt cops, when he's just like, you know, telling himself,
and one of them had a little Punisher tattoo.
Or them.
One of them had that little Punisher.
Which I wonder what that's gonna mean going forward. But it almost feels like he gets beat up so he can beat up those corrupt cops. I know that's not what it is, but it's like that kind of symbolism throughout that I'm starting to see in these first 2 episodes that makes me think about stuff like that. And I love that, because it's like, damn, like Daredevil, where he is at this point, he is the type to kind of be like, okay, I'll let you guys well out on me just so I can well out on you and not feel bad about doing it. Like it kind of feels like justice, like Kingpin was saying, and not as much as like, you know, just wanting to inflict pain on somebody and shit like that. But I so far I like what they're laying, the groundwork that they're laying out here for his character and Fisk, like in their arcs and stuff. I really like it. Like it's like really investing and like interesting.
I do think overall it's got me interested. I'm curious to see how this goes week to week, because a lot of people that obviously love it and got to watch it early got all 9 episodes. And I'm curious if that works as a binge, or if week to week some of these episodes might be fairly slow and almost nothing really happens to build out some of these, you know, newer supporting characters. And like the plot kind of I'm curious to see how these episodes progress on a week to week basis, and how much like more investing it'll be, and ultimately of course where it ends, because I do think, you know, them hopping straight into production of season 2, little bit of red flags for me, little bit of we have stuff to fix, let's announce that we're filming season 2, little bit of stuff. When they end season 1, there's probably questions, but that'll be damage control. A little bit of red flags, but I just hope in the end, it at least bare minimum makes me want season 2, makes me interested in the prospect of season 2, even if stuff is left open. I want the persuasion and the interest of getting some of this stuff paid off if it's not. But yeah, I do love what they're setting up for Matt as a character. And I do like some of these subplots, specifically Fisk and White Tiger. I'm curious to see how Muse comes into the fold, and this whole new relationship Matt has with this like author and this therapist. And,
it really feels
yeah.
like it really feels like Captain America was like a hump, a large hump in the road. Like it feels like we had to almost die getting over that hump to get here, and now like it kind of feels like things are starting to sail smoothly with Daredevil, Thunderbolts, Fantastic Four coming up. And I just really enjoy the fact that we have Daredevil, because again, when we were getting Loki, it was like we're eating, but only here.
Only here?
Like,
yeah.
Only here. We're eating. And it felt bad because it was like, and it's Loki. It's not like a super titular character that's like everybody's sitting down to watch every week.
Yeah.
Right. That's gonna be super recurrent. It's like Loki. And it's like, I'm glad that like we could sit here and be like talk week to week about a show that's genuinely good. I don't care what Twitter is trying to say. This show is already like really good. Like it's not bad by any stretch of the imagination.
I don't think it's bad.
There's stuff that it doesn't
really
do as
intrigued.
good as the Netflix
really
version.
To see
but
what they do with it.
But again, I think what we're getting here is like really good, and I'm just glad that we can like say that, because we've really only been able to say that about Loki and literally like nothing else.
WandaVision was especially good for most of its.
But that was like the first.
That was most of its run. Besides like the last 2 episodes, like it was.
No. I was about to say that was like the first show, and that's why I don't like to bring up WandaVision, because it was like the first show of Disney Plus, and like they kind of got into this like again the first show, the first crack
is gonna get everything.
It's like you could. It's easier to get some shit right, but when you're into the thick of it, and you're like already into the whole machine and stuff like that, that's when things start to get a little funky. It took this long for them to understand.
We need a showrunner on our show. Wow, pretty insane.
I'm just glad we're getting like good Daredevil content and good MCU content week to week, and content that I actually like am invested in, and not just like, oh, I like what the show is, genuinely invested into the show and what it's gonna do moving forward. So I'm just happy.
Just to end off this segment, this was, while I really like the premiere, and I'm genuinely interested in what they're doing. Like, that's a good thing. Whether like I like everything that they're doing or not, I'm at least interested in what they're doing.
Right.
And I just want to end off by saying, when we looked at the schedule after Brave New World, this is a very Marvel year, right? They've got like 3 movies this year and like 5 shows and stuff. But DC's on the run. DC's on like they're like starting to go now. Like they got their stuff and they're starting to go. And I'm really interested in how this year plays out, because Marvel has a lot of stuff, but they could drop so much that becomes the like conversation of like Wonder Man was trash, Iron Heart was trash, the Captain America, man, the MCU this year failed. When like Thunderbolts, Fantastic Four, and Daredevil will end up being great, right? Like, but I'm curious to see.
Could use the DCU stepping on Marvel's heels.
I'm curious
because it would make them really lock in a little bit.
Yeah,
really
because let's be honest, we're not going to sugarcoat shit.
Take the audience back.
Everyone looked at this schedule this year for Cape shit, looked at Daredevil Born Again and went, that's going to change stuff. And at the premiere, it's good. Now, it's not, I don't think it's meeting anyone's bar for the Netflix show. I don't think so. Unfortunately.
But I do think it's a trend. But now we can accept that. That'll make people kind of want to get back into the MCU.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, now we can accept that and look at it as what it is. And I'm curious because, what if Superman ends up being a humongous hit? That next month, Peacemaker comes out. And it's like, what happens if Peacemaker season 2 ends up being like phenomenal? What happens? What happens to the conversation? Because are those the only 2 projects DC has this year? I think that's it. That's not this year. That's not this year.
Yeah.
I think that's it. And if they're able to like control a lot of the conversation, going into 2026, scary. Because now you're running into Lanterns, Clayface, Supergirl. Like, you're like DC going now. Like y'all better lock in, Marvel. I know they got Doomsday coming out next year, which I think that's going to be delayed, to be honest. But I'm curious to see how this talk goes.
I don't actually. Despite what some rumors are saying,
you don't think it's going to be delayed? Maybe not. Maybe not. That turnaround is very quick for a movie that big, and I am scared if they keep that. But who knows? Maybe they're so prepared that they can do that. But yeah, I'm curious to see how this conversation will be at the end of the year, because we all went into Daredevil with such high expectations, and while a lot of us think it's good, even great, most of us it's not Netflix Daredevil, which is okay. Now we can look at it as what it is, but then that sets up interesting things in like, how will this second half be for Marvel? And I'm curious to see what this first chunk and batch of MCU is versus their second, and how that'll culminate, and what the conversation will be. The MCU's, man, it's not invulnerable anymore, and that is interesting. But yeah, you guys tell us what you guys thought about the season premiere for Daredevil. We really liked it. A lot of people online seem to not, to each their own.
Twitter.
Yeah, I mean, there's gonna be people that were gonna hate
Give it like
regardless.
2 more weeks. Give it like 2 more weeks. I promise you, everybody's gonna love this show.
You think so? Hopefully, but
I just feel like it's a lot of overreactions from like it not
immediate
being the Netflix version. Yeah, like the fact that it's not like I feel like anything they were ever gonna change, like, was always gonna be a huge issue for like cape shit communities. They're always gonna overblow. Bro, why doesn't Matt's Daredevil horn look the same? Or like, yeah, it's. I feel like give it some time. Give it like a couple weeks.
I don't know. None of this
I think
was
we have a
there.
very different conversation on this podcast.
None of this was there for when he showed up in She-Hulk. That's all I'm gonna say. They gave my boy the flowers. They handled my boy with. They gave him good sequence. They handled him right. That's what made me so excited for Born Again. The second I saw how he was moving in She-Hulk, I was like, oh my God, I cannot wait for his.
But that's the thing. I feel like a lot more people were more forgiving for it.
Because it's the type of show, because it was lighter.
No, because it's She-Hulk. No, because it's She-Hulk. If that show was called Daredevil, yeah, Daredevil and She-Hulk was in it, that's different. It's the fact that this show is like
50-50.
Foggy, Karen,
over
Bullseye,
or under.
Kingpin,
is
like
She-Hulk
all of
showing up in
Netflix.
this show?
Again, bro, I don't think she's showing up.
What if it's just Jennifer? What if she's human for a little bit?
Okay, yes, I think Jennifer is showing up in the show.
You think so?
Showing up in the show. Yes.
I'm curious.
I think Jennifer will show up in the show. I don't
plans
think
on turning back to Jennifer, to be honest. I think she's embraced the amalgamation of the two. But I'm curious if she shows up, because that's kind of the stuff I want. You want to put Daredevil in the MCU? Throw her in full CG She-Hulk. Like just give me Daredevil in the MCU. Don't try
you go all the way to the West Coast to San Francisco to hit it and quit it. She-Hulk about to do the same shit. She about to go all the way across the country to New York to hit it and quit it on Matt's ass.
Yeah.
Hit his ass.
But this was a very long episode. But yeah, you guys go ahead and let us know your thoughts in the comments below on your feelings on all these topics. But mostly, of course, that Daredevil premiere. Let us know what you think, and how interested are you in some of the things they are setting up for this show. And obviously, if you made it this far and you haven't, please do us a favor. Like the video, subscribe, click the bell, all that jazz. Helps us out a ton. But yeah, it would be greatly appreciated. And other than that, it's been your boy Keezy.
Been your boy Kels.
And hopefully we see you all in the next one.